Welcome, guys. Welcome back. Today we are going to discuss. We'll discuss the transport layer. Okay. So let's start with the why there is a requirement of transport layer in this TCP/IP. So as we know, right, the network layer is responsible for communication at the computer level. That is host to host communication. So as we know, the network layer having a concept of IP address, and that is what assigned to that computer, and that computer is going to be identified on the basis of that. Okay. Network layer protocol can deliver the message only to the destination computer based on the IP address. However, this is an incomplete delivery. Let's say if we have a computer over here and let's say another computer over here, if this is what the sender and let's say this is what the receiver. So sender is sending the message to the destination. That is what host to host communication. Here, the IP address is let's say 192.168.1.1 IP address is assigned and 1.2 here and 1.1 here. Okay. On the basis of this is going to be handled. However, this is what incomplete delivery. The message still need to be handed to the correct process because on this computer there are multiple processes are running. Okay, because many applications runs on the single computer which needs end-to-end communication. And the transport layer provide the logical communication between the application process running on the different host. Or else we can say the main role of transport layer is to provide the communication services directly to the application process running on the different host. Let's consider the example. Here there is a computer, this side and this side also. Consider this is what the sender and consider this is what the receiver. So host to host deliveries can be handled by an internet layer or let's say maybe network layer on the basis of let's say IP address concept. But on this computer, there are multiple processes are running. Let's say this is P1, this is P2. Also in this computer also let's say P1 and P2. This process to process communication is not achieved in network layer. So to and in order to provide the process to process communication, transport layer has been introduced. That means let's an example. Let's say if I having here, let's say Facebook as an application or this computer, and here also Facebook as an application on this computer. So Facebook to Facebook communication is going to be handled and going to be provided by the transport layer. So this is what the main purpose, guys, of the transport layer, where the process to process communication can be achieved. Then what do you mean by transport layer? So transport layer is the second layer of the TCP model, whereas it is the fourth layer of the OSI model. This is an end-to-end layer used to deliver the message to the host. It is termed as the end-to-end layer because it provides the point-to-point connection rather than the hop-to-hop between the source host and the destination host to deliver the service reliably. Okay, the unit of transport encapsulation at the transport layer is what the segment. So the packets or let's say the messages are going to be identified or the content actually the contents or let's say data is going to be identified on the basis of the segments. Okay, although the application process on the different hosts are not physically connected, application process use the logical communication provided by the transport layer to the to send the message to the each layer. So here there is no any physical connection available. Okay, and here what we have a TCP protocol, and with the help of the TCP protocol, we can have the physical virtual connections to that particular the process in between the process. The computer network provides more than one protocol to network applications. For example, the TCP and UDP, these are the two main protocols. This is what the backbone of the transport layer. Okay, there, and that provide the different set of services to the network layer also. The application connected by the using either of these two protocols. Any applications which run from upper layer to lower layer or maybe the transport layer, it is going to be provided by this TCP and the UDP protocol. Each of the application in the application layer has the ability to send a message using the TCP and UDP protocol. So whatever the applications are running on that particular host are able can possible to send the services via TCP or UDP. Both this TCP and UDP will communicate with the internet protocol in the internet layer. Okay, so they make use of let's say IP protocol for the communication of the applications. Okay, and this protocol is what forward the connection establishment. The application can be read and write the transport layer. Therefore, we can say the communication is two-way communication. Okay, so communication is two-way communication. So these are the basic definitions and basic purposes of the transport layer. Where the conclusion of this slide is what there are two protocols. The protocols are what the TCP and the UDP protocols. Let's start with the how it is going to be achieved. So as we have mentioned and as we have quoted, that the process to process communication can be happen with the transport layer. So here, to achieve the process to process communication, the most common is what the client server paradigm. Okay, so somewhere let's say server and somewhere let's say client. So process to process communication can be handled on the basis of the client server paradigm, where request and response protocol is available, where request and response protocol is available. Let's say client is sending request, as a request, the server is sending reply. The process on the local host called client needs services from the process usually on the remote host called a server. Okay, so local host is what the client, that process on the local host is what the at the end of what client. So whatever the process at the client is what the local host, and the remote is what the server. Both the process, that is client and server, have the same name. For example, let's say to get the day and time or from the remote machine, we need a day client process running on the local host as well as a day server process running on the remote machine. Okay, so the name supposed to be common. However, the operating system nowadays support for the multi users and the multi programming environment. So nowadays, nature of the operating system has increased. So they allows the multi-user and multi-programming where the more than one users and the more than one processes can reside in the main memory. The remote computer can run several server programs at the same time, just as several local computers can run one or more client program at the same time. For the communication, we must define. Okay, so here there is a segregation, guys. Local host and remote host. So local host and host is what these are the computers. These are the computers, and these are going to be identified on the basis of IP address. But there is a what trick is what local process and remote process. So local host having local process and remote host is having remote process. So in order to identify this local process and remote process, we require some kind of nomenclature. And that nomenclature, and to define the process on the local and the remote host, we need a second identifier. It's called as port number. It's called as port number because without any identification, we cannot identify any process which is running on that host. So we require port number. And then what do you port number? What do you mean the port number? In the TCP protocol suite, the port number is a integer value between 0 to 65,535. Okay, which is a what to the power 16, which is what to the power 16. So this is what the port number. And more about the port number, we have a separate video only to identify that particular process on that particular host. We require the port number. There are different categories. Please do watch that video also. That as it is the first lecture of this particular transportless, we are going to so quickly going to all the services and all the meanings of individually. We have separate videos for the transporter also and the services. Then next point is what the transport layer services. The services provided by the transport layer are similar to those of what the data link layer. Many of the services are interlinked between or similar with the data link layer. But data link layer provide the services within the single network, while the transport layer provide the services across the network made of many networks. Okay, so on the single computer, single network. So data link layer is going to be play a role, data link layer. But if I have more than one network or more than one computers, there we require a transport layer, Okay, in that what we have process to process communication, end to end connection between the host, encapsulation, decapsulation, addressing, multiplexing, flow control, congestion control, and error control. Today we'll discuss only the definition of all these things, and then there are separate videos for all the applications available for understanding more thoroughly. So let's take one by one with the quick glance. So here, very first service is what the process to process delivery or process to process communication. This is what the main service, guys. The TCP provide process to process communication, that is the transfer of data takes place between individual process executing on the end system. As we discussed, this is what the sender end and this is what the receiver end. Okay, there are different processes are running. Here different processes are running, and the communication between this process can be done with the help of the transport layer. Okay, and this is going to be done. Let's say if this is the process, let's say Facebook, and let's say if this process, let's say assign, let's say w value, let's say 119. So on this 119, the Facebook is running now. Let's say, okay. Now port number is what, a 16-bit long number which identify the process are running on that particular system, so that the sending and receiving data is possible on the basis of that port number. So here, let's say if I have a 192.168.1. 1. Suffix to this, what we are adding that port number, that is what application number. Okay, on the basis of this is going to be identified. How it is going to be identified, we'll discuss later on in this detailed topic. Okay, so process to process communication is first and the first service of the transport layer. Second will be end-to-end connection between the host. Okay, so what we have the host available over here. So how to connect this particular end-to-end? So what we have, there are two kinds of services and two kind of protocols are available, guys. So here, a transport layer is also responsible for creating end-to-end connection between the host of which it mainly use the TCP and UDP. Okay, whereas TCP is what the protocol, transmission control protocol, and UDP is what the user data protocol. TCP is connection oriented protocol. So what is connection oriented? Before sending the data, we need to establish the connection. Then acknowledgement is going to be there, and then only data transfer can be possible, and the termination is also required. So there are three phases: connection establishment, data transfer, and the termination. So if it is a connection oriented, is what that it means what the connection is to be established. It is not more reliable. This protocol is more reliable, and if the protocol is more reliable, we can have a guarantee. We can have a guarantee that the segments are going to be sent to the receiver. Okay, but here there are dependency of the segments. The sequence of the messages are going to be there. Now segments are going to be there. If I'm sending 1 2 3 in this fashion, so ultimately 3 2 1 and 1 2 3 is going to be there. Let's say 1 2 3, so only 1 2 3 is going to be received. Okay, in that fashion there is no independence, there is a dependency. But if you talked about the UDP protocol, and UDP protocol is what the connection less protocol, where there is no dependency of the sending messages or sending sequence. Okay, and this is what the unreliable protocol. This is what the unreliable protocol. Also, UDP is what the stateless and unreliable protocol which ensure the best before delivery. Although what we have the unreliability in the that connection less, okay, we can take a guarantee that is faster in nature. All the segments are going to be sent. So moreover, the end-to-end connections is going to be happen with the help of TCP and UDP protocol. Okay, there are separate videos for the TCP and UDP, how it is going to happen and how that handshaking is going to be done. That is three-way handshaking is going to be done in TCP specifically, that we are going to discuss later on. So moreover, in this slide, of conclusion of this slide is what the in order to establish the connection between the end-to-end, what we are using the TCP and UDP, where TCP is a connection oriented and UDP is what the connection does. Okay, the encapsulation and decapsulation. What happened in encapsulation and decapsulation? To send the message from one process to another process, the transport layer protocol encapsulate that and decapsulate message. So encapsulation is done at the sender side. What in by encapsulation? The ramping of data, let's say, adding some extra information of that particular transport layer is what the encapsulation. So that that can be have identification that this message comes from the transport layer. Okay, so header is going to be added. When the process has a message to send, let's say any process has a message to send, it passes the message to the transport layer along with pair of socket addresses and some of other piece of information that depend on what on the transport layer protocol. Okay, so message plus let's say socket address, and what socket address? Socket address is IP address plus the port address is what the socket address. The transport layer receive the data at the transport layer header. So this is what the additional requirement, that header is going to be added at transport layer, and the packet at the transport layer in the internet called a segment. Okay, so this header is going to be added to that particular segments. Then a decapsulation happens at the receiver side. When the message arrived at the destination transport layer, the header is dropped. That header is dropped, and the transport layer is delivered the message to the process running at the application. Okay, here this is what the application layer. This is what the application at the sender layer. Okay, the application sending to the transport layer of this sender. So here this header is going to be added, and this is going to be passed from the logical connection which is established via TCP or UDP, and at the receiver end, this is going to be dropped, and the message is going to be sent to the application layer. Let's say here is the Facebook and here is the Facebook, because Facebook is what the application we are using at the application layer, and this is going to be passed via transport layer. So this is what the encapsulation technology is. Okay. Now there is another service, and that service is what the multiplexing and demultiplexing. Multiplexing and demultiplexing. What is happened in multiplexing and demultiplexing? Whenever an entity accepts item from one more than one sources, it referred to as a multiplexing. Okay, and that is what the many to one. In this diagram, it is shown. And whenever an entity deliver item more than one sources, it referred to the demultiplexing. So here, one to many. The reverse process of multiplexing is what the demultiplexing, where There are so many of applications are available there. We need to split the channel. We need to split the channel. Okay, if I'm sending, let's say, broadcast message, if I'm sending multicast message, so that connection need to be split. So that kind of the multiplexing and demultiplexing going to demultiplexing going to be required. Okay, and the multiplexing, if I'm wanted to accept more from the more than source, more than one source, that kind the multiplexing going to be done. Okay, and the transport layer at the source perform the multiplexing, and transport layer at the destination perform the demultiplication. This is what the theory. And here, if you go with the more examples of this, so here there is a definitions are written over here. But this is what the logic about the multiplexing and demultiplexing. Okay, then there is another service, guys, and that service is what the congestion control. What happened the congestion control and how it is happened? There are some reasons to happen the congestion control. Let's say high flow, slow start acceptance, load and traffic, abnormally in the flow, such as abnormality in the flow, such as the accidental during the rush hours, create blockages. So here the congestion control. Congestion is the situation in which too many sources over the network attempt to send data and the router buffer start overflowing and the router buffer start overflowing. Okay, so it is going beyond the capacity, due to which again the loss of packet is going to be occur. Once the loss of packet is going to be occur, again the retransmission is done. If the retransmission again done, that again increase the again increase the traffic and again increase the congestion. Okay, so once the congestion or let's say traffic has been increased on the network, ultimately the packet is going to be lost, or let's say segments are going to be lost. Okay, so here there is a possibility in a transport layer that to handle this congestion control in different way. Okay, so there are techniques available. The techniques are what? Congestion control refer to the technique and mechanism that can prevent congestion before it happens or remove congestion after it happens. Just like the prevention is better than cure. Okay, so there are two techniques. Very first is what the open loop congestion control, and second is what the closed loop congestion control. So let's take the first one, the open loop congestion control. How these techniques going to be work? What we have separate video for the congestion control. The detailed thorough examples are available. Okay, and here in the open loop congestion control, the policy is applied to the prevent the congestion before it happens. So before happening any congestion, the policy is going to be applied, and that technique is what the open loop congestion, where we have retransmission policy. Let's say if there's some packets are lost, they retransmit it. Okay, then Windows policy is there. Windows policy, what we have, the protocols are available. Go back and selective repeat protocols are there. So selective repeat is better. Those segments have lost, only send that particular segment so that the chaos will be reduced. Acknowledgement policy, if receiver is receiving the content, that must be send the acknowledgement. Okay, for every packet, so that the sender cannot send again and again. Then discarding policy, if something goes wrong, so if any packet loss and if packet cannot be accepted by the receiver, it is necessary to be discarded. Admission policy is what to which kind of segments to be accepted, that is what the admission policy. So these are the these are the open loop congestion control policies are available for congestion control. Then there is a second technology, and second technology is what? The congestion control in that closed loop congestion control, where the closed loop congestion control is activated or elevated after the congestion has been occurred. Okay, where we have a back pressure technology. Okay, back pressure is a technique in which the congestion node stop receiving packet from the upstream node. It means it has many cause upstream node or node to becoming congested and rejected receiving the data from the above node. So it is going to be stop the receiving back pressure. Okay, choke packets. Choke packet is a technique is applicable to both virtual networks as well as the datagram networks, subnets. Okay, the choke packet is the packet sent by the node to the source to inform it is of congestion. Let's say here is the network, here is the network. So this is what the receiver. The receiver sending the message to the send that I cannot handle this traffic which is produced by from your side. So can you please slow down the traffic? Can you please slow down the traffic? So this is what the choke packet. Okay. Then implicit signaling and explicit signaling is also available. In explicit signaling, if the node experience congestion is can explicitly send a packet to the source or destination to inform about the congestion. Explicit signaling can occur in either forward or backward direction. Here there are two types of signaling: the forward signaling and the backward signaling. In forward signaling, signals is sent in the direction of the congestion. Okay, at which direction the congestion has occurred, it is going to be sent. The destination is warned about the congestion Okay, and the receiver in this case adopt the policy to prevent the further congestion. In case of the backward signaling, the backward signaling is signal is sent in the opposite direction of this congestion. Okay, it means what? If it is happened at the destination, it is going to be sent to the sender. The source is warning about that congestion and it need to be slow down the process. It need to slow down the transmission. Okay, so these are the techniques are available. But here we on for this video only we are restricted to the definitions. We'll discuss later on this policy and detail. Then there is a service, and that service is what the addressing. As we discussed, guys, there is a process to process communication is available. So here the process to process communication only happens because of what the addressing, and that addressing is what the port addressing. In order to identify process running on the host, what we have one agency, ICANN, that is what the Internet Corporation of Assigned Names and Numbers has assigned the numbers called the port numbers. And then in the network, the port is the endpoint to the logical connection. That is what port number identify what type of port it is. It means an easiest way it is defined, it can be defined, let's say, in the word. A word is what imagining, and our house had lots of doors, and each door represent a port. Our best example is what? Electric board. Let's say if at our home we have electric board and the sockets are available in our home where we can plug any devices. Let's say this is what the board where some sockets are available, and this is what the endpoint. This is what the endpoint where our device or our application can be plugged. Our device or our application can be plugged. So best example of this socket is what? The port number is what? Our electric board at our home where some sockets and some buttons are available. Okay, where are some here? The process one having port number, process two having port number, process three also port number, process four also port number. It can be used the TCP or UDP, doesn't matter what kind of services they want to take. Okay, connectionless or connection oriented. So this is what the port addressing. We have a separate video for the port addressing. Please do all this also. Okay. Now, apart from this, we have some services available with us, guys, with the transport layer. That is what the flow control. What do you mean by flow control? The definition is what? Whenever an entity produce an item and another entity consume them, there should be balance between the production and the consumption. Let's say if there is a sender and there is a receiver, so there it is definitely that the rate of the item producing by the producer and the rate it consuming rate is very different. Okay, so maybe the speed is there, maybe the configuration is there, or maybe the network structure is there. So if let's say if it is having a carrying capacity, let's say 5 and this is what only 2, so it can consume only 2 items and it can consume at once 5 items. So definitely it is not possible to consume all the 5 items produced by the producer at the same time. So what we have, we require to balance this, and what how we can balance this? We can balance this only with the help of buffer, mechanism. Although and the buffer can be a sender side and the receiver side, so that if the sender is faster, so sender can store their packet datagrams segments in the sender buffer, and if the receiver is slower, then it can store that in a receiver buffer. But here the it is used to prevent, let's say, and this flow control is used to prevent the sender from overwhelming the receiver. If the receiver is overloaded with the too much data, then the receiver discard the packets and asking for the retransmission of the packets. Okay, and it means this increase the network congestion, and thus we have discussed network congestion, and it definitely reduce the system performance. So to achieve this, to tackle this with the problem, the performance and the congestion, we require the flow control. And here there are two techniques available. That is what the pushing and pulling. What do you mean by pushing and pulling? If the sender delivers item whenever they are produced without the prior request from the customer, the delivery is referred to the pushing. So if the receiver is not concerning that, okay, I am not ready or something else, okay, still it is sending, that is what the pushing. Imposing something is what the pushing. And the pulling is what? If the producer delivered the item after the consumer has requested them, the delivery is referred to as the pulling. Okay, if the consumer requesting to the producer, then only it is going to be sent, that is what the pulling. So what we have, again, we have a separate video for the flow control, guys, how it is happen. This diagram is there available. So sender application is sending to the transport layer again sending to the transport layer at the receiver, transport layer receiver replying to the application which is running at the receiver end, then again replies comes, and this is what the flow control. Okay, we'll discuss this diagram more in detail in later on videos. Okay, Then there is another service, that is what the error control or the reliability. Reliability only because of what we have some kind of steps available in a transport layer and kind of error control, flow control, message control, etc. With the help of that, the reliability can be possible. Now, the primary role of the reliability is what the error control. It means there is no any transaction will be 100% error free, but still transport layer struggling, not struggling, but its transport layer supports us to provide some kind of quality services to tackle this problem. Therefore, here the error control at a transport layer is responsible to detect and discard the corrupted packets, keep a track of lost and discarded packets and resend them, recognize duplicate packets and discard them, buffer out of order packets until the missing packet arrived. There is a sequence number policy available to error control. There is acknowledgement policy also available. There is a retransmission policy also available. Checksum is also available. So all these policies and all these mechanisms are available. With the help of this, we can say transport layer providing error control mechanism. Okay, something goes wrong, so it is going to be tackled in this free manner. Okay, and these all the services we have discussed about the transport layer. So my request is to all, so this is what the only introductory lecture. We have a separate video lectures for all the services at the transport layer. The main purpose of the transport layer is what the process to process communication, which is what the application running at the process running at the sender side and process running at the receiver side, the same kind of processor are going to be communicated with the port numbers. Okay, thank you so much.